just done with it. We're asking for this terrorist regime to leave us alone and allow us to simply make our own choices.
I woke up and thought, well, I better grab my No War in Iraq sign and dust that off and change the title.
Now at 6, some people in Portland celebrating the U.S. and Israel's strikes on Iran over the weekend, while others are condemning it. We'll have more reaction from the community coming up in a live report.
And how could the strikes in Iran impact your price at the pump? Why experts expect the cost of gas to go up in the Northwest, and how it could impact people who don't even drive.
And the owners of Portland ICE facility could face fines for certain violations, including the use of tear gas outside the facility. How long the ordinance will be in place, and while the city works on a permanent rule. Ahead as your news at Sunrise starts right now. Good morning and thank you for joining us here on your Monday. I'm China Green.
And I'm Matthew Herchick. Glad to have you with us. Rod Hill and Chris McGinnis standing by with a look at the weather and traffic. Rod, we had a beautiful first day of meteorological spring.
We did.
Keeping it rolling today?
Yeah, yesterday 60, March 1, today March 2nd. I think we're going to at least hit 60 again today, and it's a nice morning. Look how comfortable we are. We are dry. We have broken mid to high level cloudiness up top. 48 in Gresham. There's not much wind. 48 Salem, 48 degrees down in Albany. So, yeah, I would say you do not need the big coat out the door. Here's the bus stop forecast. We'll call it mostly cloudy to start, at the coldest down to the low 40s. Sunrise 6:47 now. We'll be sunny at noon, 55. And when the kids get out of school, we'll be right around 60 to maybe as warm as 62. So enjoy your second day of March. Here's Chris.
All right, Rodney, thank you for that. Let's get you out the door. We'll start off with a look over on the west side. This is Highway 26 out near 217. Let me move over here. You get a better perspective here. The headlights there, westbound out towards Beaverton and Hillsborough. Traffic seems to be zipping along just fine there. I-5 south of town near Capitol Highway. Again, there's your northbound commute. That looks pretty good as well. So far, no major freeway trouble out there just yet, so we're off to a good start. Heads up for folks in Cowlitz County a bit later on this morning up in the Longview area. The on-ramp from SR 432 will be delayed somewhat getting onto northbound I-5 as WashDOT does some road work there. They'll be directing cars onto northbound I-5 starting as early as 7:30 this morning. So again, expect some light delays out of the Longview area. Guys, back to you.
Chris, thank you. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who reigned as Iran's supreme leader for 36 years, was killed in attacks by the U.S. into Israel over the weekend.
In retaliation, Hezbollah says that it launched strikes on an Israeli missile defense site. This says Israel is firing back on targets related to the military group in Lebanon. Earlier this morning, the U.S. military announced the 4th U.S. service member has died. President Donald Trump saying that there will likely be more American casualties before the military operation in Iran ends.
And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself.
According to the White House, tomorrow Congress will get its first set of classified briefings on the Iran operation. Key administrative officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, will be in attendance. And this morning, we're also hearing reaction to the war from people here in Portland.
Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us live from Pioneer Square Courthouse. Thomas, what are they having to say?
Yeah, guys, some protesters say that this war is disturbing and adds that it feels similar to past U.S. conflicts in the Middle East. Iranian media is reporting that dozens of people were killed at a girls' school. That information has not been verified by NBC News. And some protesters say this could have been avoided after the United States agreed to a nuclear deal in 2015 that President Donald Trump withdrew from 3 years later.
We had a deal already. We backed out of it and manufactured a problem. I just don't see why this is helping anybody. It seems pretty obvious that it's a distraction.
Though Sunday, some local Iranian Americans celebrated the news and say these attacks are long overdue. They tell us they've waited close to 50 years for the Iranian regime to come to an end.
This is an incredible moment. For my entire life, I've never been to Iran. I've been afraid of possibly going there, being seen as an American spy, and having freedom for the country is just amazing.
We're just done with it. We're asking for this terrorist regime to leave and allow us to simply make our own choices.
And as this war continues to grow across the Middle East, we're seeing reaction not just here in Portland, but all across the Pacific Northwest now, guys. Matthew, China.
Our Thomas Schultz reporting live. Thomas, thank you very much.
I feel very strongly that the Congress should be involved here. That's what the War Powers Act is all about.
And coming up at 6:30, we'll bring you more reaction from local lawmakers over the strikes in Iran.
On Sunday, an oil tanker caught fire near the Middle East, close to major shipping routes used to move oil around the world. About 20% of the world's oil passes through that area.
And now the strikes in Iran are expected to have an impact on oil, with benchmark crude prices spiking over the weekend. That means drivers across the country could soon be in for a shock at the gas pump. According to AAA, right now the national average is just under $3 a gallon. Oregon and Washington are quite a bit higher, with Oregon sitting at almost $4 a gallon. And in Washington, a gallon of gas will run you about $4.37.
And Maddie White with our sister station Seattle has more on this.
Gasoline prices will probably be going up right away, right around 8%.
In Washington state, the average gallon of gas currently costs about $4.35. But now an expert says that number will grow.
You're going to be up around $4.70.
Kenneth Gillingham is a renowned researcher and consumer energy professor at Yale.
The most key choke point in the global oil market is right there.
Vessel traffic in the Strait of Hormuz dropped by about 70% as of Sunday.
A lot of uncertainty right now.
And if the strait stays effectively closed,
we really are in for it with much higher oil prices.
Washingtonians may wish to wise up on how they get around.
In Seattle, there's a lot of room to take public transportation.
Adding insult to injury, our state gas tax is also set to rise by 2% this July. It was approved last spring in a multi-billion-dollar transportation revenue package to account for inflation.
Purchase a more efficient car, you can get a hybrid, you can get an electric vehicle.
Even those who don't drive may not be immune to rising costs either.
There's no question that this will enhance inflation right now.
Gillingham says the delivery of goods and groceries may slowly creep up, and if the Federal Reserve stays concerned about inflation,
they're not going to be lowering interest rates.
And an update to Trimet services. The agency has reduced some of its transit services to help close the $300 million budget gap. That means some bus routes will change, including lines 8, 24, 48, 75, and 76. Schedules for some other bus lines are also changing. You can find a detailed list of Trimet service changes on our website, kgw.com.
New developments in Portland to fight to crack down on the use of tear gas and other munitions at the ICE building. The city has started enforcing a new ordinance that fines the owners of detention centers for nuisance violations, including the use of chemical munitions. The city council passed the ordinance in December after hearing from neighbors and nearby school about how the gas was affecting them. Fines will start at $5,000 for the first offense and then go up from there. The ordinance will be in place for 6 months while the city works on a permanent rule.
Meanwhile, the Timbers were on the road for their first away game of the season against Colorado. It was unfortunately their first loss of the season. The Timbers shut out 2-0 against the Rapids. Head coach Phil Neville gave his thoughts on the club's performance.
That was the disappointing thing, is that our best players didn't put the ball in the back of the net, which is what we paid them to do. Today was another steep learning curve where we've got to improve. We've got to be mentally tougher on the road. We've got to find ways to win, myself included.
Next up for the Timbers, they will host 2-0 Vancouver on Saturday.
The Portland Thorns have their next head coach. ESPN reports that the franchise is hiring Robert Villaham. He most recently coached Tottenham Hotspur's women's team and coached in Sweden before that. ESPN says Villaham is still waiting for his visa, so it's unclear if he'll be with the team in time for the season opener on March 13th.
6:09, headed over to Rod for a look at your forecast. Rod?
Yeah, we have a nice day coming. I want to show you one of our bright cameras. This is one of our Timberline cameras. We're looking off to the east, and that is clear skies. We do have broken mid to high level clouds down over the valley right now, but those clouds will be moving off to the east, and I think will look like that at the noon hour. 34 up at Timberline, and certainly well above freezing down low. In fact, our reporting sites are generally above 40 this morning, so not much of a chill and we are dry and there's not much wind. 46 at Pearson Airfield in Vancouver of calm winds and obviously good visibility looking at the interstate bridge. Other numbers, Eugene has had some light rain, including overnight. The current report is that has moved out, but we do have light rain reports still, Baker City, Burns, and John Day. And this is the area, southeastern Oregon, where you will continue to have cloud cover today and a lingering light shower threat. This shows John Day and Burns in the upper 40s. But increasing sun in central Oregon today, Sun River up to 51 and becoming mostly sunny this morning, both coast and valley. And I like the valley generally hitting 60 or a little bit better, maybe as warm as 62. Now tomorrow we wake up, it's cloudy but dry, and I think we're primarily dry in Portland until the evening hours. There's a front tomorrow night, about a half of an inch of rain comes with it. That's numerous showers into Saturday, fewer showers on Thursday. And if you want to look ahead to the upcoming weekend, I'm watching a system that brings us some passing rain, primarily Saturday night. Obviously the timing on that could change. That is your forecast for now.